Hello and welcome to Between the Books. My name is Isadora and today I am all alone. I don't have Shannon with me. This is going to be similar to her special episode that she did a couple weeks ago where she reviewed an ARC that she got from NetGalley. So similar to that, I will be reviewing an ARC, which is an advanced reader's copy that I got from NetGalley. So thank you so much, NetGalley, for providing me with Immortal Rose by Alexandra Bracken. I am very excited to talk to you guys about this one today, so let's go ahead and let me tell you what the synopsis is. Viola Lockwood is the last living member of the Roseborn family, known for its powers to create magical perfumes that can serve a variety of purposes, from enhancing someone's beauty to being able to manipulate their movements. Although she has kept that part of herself a secret, royal spy Hugh Thornton finds her and they make an agreement. Viola will craft Immortal Rose, the only perfume able to save the nation, and in return she'll be able to claim the life and fortune that should have been hers. So just a little backstory with my history with Alexandra Bracken. I have read her Darkest Mind series, which was really popular in the YA scene, like the dystopian YA scene a long time ago. And I really like it. I think it's really good. And it's still, like, even now, my favorite out of her works. But I've only read that, and I have read Lore, which is a Greek mythology inspired novel and like an urban setting. That one's really good too. This one is her first adult novel, so it's a little bit different. And what I really like about her is that she does kind of experience with very different concepts. Like, she's got like an interesting range with her stories, and like she's done, fantasy, she's done mythology, urban fantasy style. I know she's done middle grade. She has done sci-fi, I believe. So yeah, this is now this is a new thing that she's trying out, and it's exciting. Another thing that I really like about her is that during the pandemic, she did like a lot of video series on her Instagram, which she still kind of does. But back then, she really recorded how her process was writing Lore and then her following book, which is Silver in the Bone. And I always thought that was so interesting. I really liked that. And she also did little shorts of her giving writing tips, like a whole little series. And I really like that as well. So I think she's a lovely person, and she's got a beautiful house. She always shows like parts of her house and everything. And I don't know, I recommend following her on Instagram as well. But just getting back into Immortal Rose. So I wasn't necessarily super drawn in, but when I saw that the ARC was available and I've been seeing her promoted so much on her Instagram, I was like, you know what, let me try it out. And so I got it, and I do think that the concept of these perfumes is so interesting. And it's not something I've read before. It's probably has been done before, but not something that I've personally read. And I think it's a really cool way to show your magic system. The thing that I wish had happened is that I wish that the perfumes had been used more. I think that that's like almost the selling point in a way for this new world that she's creating. And I can remember only specific parts, and they were very specifically used for the moment in the plot, like to cause something to happen in the plot, which makes sense. But I think that it would have been cool to be like, oh, now I have this perfume, let me use it to this, and let me do this. Like, if that's something that is available in this world, I think it would have been interesting to go a little deeper into them. There is a whole thing in the book about how, magic always comes with a price. So obviously it's not like a super easy thing that she can conjure up and make. But yeah, I think that is one element that I really wish had been shown more. I do think that overall I enjoyed it. By the end of the book, I did really like it. I am looking forward to the next book, which actually, so sorry, I completely forgot to mention. This book comes out on August 18th. So not out yet, but is coming out really, really soon. So if you listen to this podcast and you realize you want to pick it up, just be ready, it's coming. But in terms of the plot, I feel like it didn't really hook me until 50%. I had the Kindle edition, so I was reading it, and I kept reading and reading, and I was like, man, how am I still at 30%? How am I still at 40%? it felt like it was dragging a lot until halfway through, where things really started going. So the second half I really enjoyed. The first half was a bit of a slug for me personally. So I'm curious to see what other people would think, because I don't know if it was just an experience for me, because again, like at the end of the book, I did really enjoy it, and I am looking forward to the next one. So I do think that parts of that first 50% were definitely needed, of course, to set up for that enjoyment on the second part. But I wish it had been sped up a little bit. I just wish that the scenes had been slightly more interesting. They were really just not I was really not that excited to read it up until that 50%. Another thing is, there's obviously going to be that romance between the two characters, and again, by the end of it, I really liked them together. I really liked their dynamic. They're kind of supposed to be enemies to lovers in a way, but I just wasn't enjoying that much their back and forth at the beginning. But again, I think later on it was done well. It just took me aside in the beginning. I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not feeling like the sort of slow burn and everything. I'm just kind of annoyed by it all. But it does get better. I think that another thing too is that I've mentioned it on previous episodes. I think I've just been reading a lot of historical books, and I didn't really mention it in the synopsis, but this book is kind of it has that historical feel. I forget exactly at what time. I think it is a fantasy world, so there isn't a specific time period, but in my head it's the 1800s. And I have been feeling a little burnt out with reading books that take place during that time. So I think that also played a little bit into my enjoyment with it, unfortunately. Another thing that I didn't particularly love was the writing, specifically the descriptions. And I think that's another thing that really put me off in that first 50%, is that there is so much description of the setting, of what people are wearing. And I get that can be really good to set a scene and, create that world, but I was not retaining information at points, because I was like, does not feel important. I don't need to know every single detail of this room every time they enter it. And especially the clothing and stuff, which I know that it's setting down this aesthetic of that world, but I thought it was a little too much. And then especially I thought that Alexandra, and I can't remember if she did that in her previous books, but I thought that in this one she did so much use so many similes and adjectives to compare something to the other. It was his eyes shined like ashes, not ashes, but you know what I mean? It was this happened like this happened like this, and it was just so much that every single time it was she walked as if now, man, I really should have written down some of these. One second, let me check. Here are just a couple, and obviously some of these are totally fine and they're well written, but it's just the amount that we were getting. So one of them's blood trickling down the long line of his neck, the caress of a lover's finger, the hot velvet of his skin. His skin consisted of riding shades of milk, his eyes glinting with silver sparks. They seemed to burn through the cloak, falling over my skin like stardust. His nerves were scattered cinder. It was just too much. I was getting quite annoyed by the amount of flowery language, similes, metaphors, and all that stuff. And again, there's a way to do it that makes it such creates this such beautiful visuals, imagery in your mind, but not when it's so overdone that it's literally just tell me what it is. Just tell me as it is. That he's walking this way, he's walking blah 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 blah, you know what I mean? So unfortunately I didn't love that, although I do for the most part do enjoy her writing. That was just one of the things that really annoyed me throughout the whole thing, because there were just so many details and so many things popping here and there. There were moments where certain reviews or something about someone's past would come up, and it was supposed to be a shocking review almost, and it was for the character. And I would be in my head, I'd be like, am I supposed to be shocked? Like, was I supposed to know what this meant and who they're talking about? And that happened so much. That happened like at least 3 times when the past of someone got reviewed. And it was like, and I was like, I don't feel anything. I am not shocked. But let's just talk a little bit more about the positives. I think that after that 50%, we get the romance going a little more, and there's like certain tropes that I don't want to say just yet because I feel like those might be a little bit of a spoiler, but they are kind of really fun, and I like how Alexandra played with them. And I thought that the characters were really good. I did really like Viola, and I really liked Hugh. They called each other by their last names, and I know that can be charming at points, but it was getting on my nerves. But then, then you get to that satisfying moment when they start calling each other by their first names, and it does at the end of the day, like, build that connection or like that intimacy a little more, which I liked. Yeah, I feel like after that, for 50%, things started really speeding up. There were a lot of different scenes, people getting in trouble, people getting saved, and all of that. And I think that at that point, I was like wanted to read all the time and get to the end. So basically, I would say that this is going to be a pretty quick review, to be honest. I don't have like a ton to say, but I think that the takeaway is that it is an interesting concept. I think it could have been written a little better. It could have been a little more dynamic, maybe, if that's the right word. And it does take a little bit to get to that exciting part. But once you are there, it does get quite exciting. It is really interesting the way that things play out and how the world is. And I think that the second novel, because this is supposed to be a duology, I think that the second novel is going to be more fun, especially on how it ends. Actually, the ending, I'm intrigued. I want to know what's gonna happen. And unfortunately, the first book isn't even out, so that means the second book's it's gonna take a while before it gets to us. But I genuinely can't wait, and I'm very excited to pick it up. And yeah, that's kind of it for my review. I know this is super short, but it is supposed to be just a tiny little review. It's harder when Shannon isn't with me and we can't really, bounce back our ideas and discuss the points and all that. And I didn't really want to go too much into spoilers or anything like that. But yeah, these are just supposed to be like little tiny bonus episodes. So thank you so much for joining me in this solo episode. If you have any comments, any questions, anything, you can email us at betweenthebookspod@gmail.com. You can also leave a little comment here on Spotify. You can leave a review on anywhere you listen to the podcast. And we also have an Instagram account now where we post photos of our activities, of the books coming up, the episodes coming up. So you can follow us there too at betweenthebookspod. And Shannon will be back for the next episode with me, and we will see you then. Bye!